Hello, and welcome to Graywood Gardening. It is the middle of July here in Zone 4, Minnesota, and that means it is time to start swapping out the veggie garden to get ready for the fall harvest. We've already begun that down in the seed starting layer by starting the seeds for broccoli and cauliflower. Those will get planted out in the garden in the beginning of August, and they should be ready to harvest at the beginning of October. Here in the garden itself, though, the first thing I need to do is tear up this lettuce bed. This is the spring lettuce, and in fact this is spinach, that I just let it all grow and bloom and go to seed. So it's time for all of this stuff to come out. Alright, so that I think is basically this bed done, and then we'll be planting this bed out maybe tomorrow. But I think this looks pretty good. Got more stuff to pull up elsewhere though. I grow nasturtium here in the zucchini bed because there have been some studies that have shown that it reduces the amount of squash vine borer damage that you get. And I've had issues with squash vine borer in the past, so it seems worth trying. But something I learned last year was that as the nasturtium gets really mature, it starts filling up the bed, reducing the airflow, and then I had more problems with powdery mildew. So the compromise that I'm going for is in mid-July, when the nasturtium starts to get bigger, but more importantly when the squash vine borer beetle is no longer flying and laying its eggs, should be a safe time for me to rip all of the nasturtium out of here so we can get much better airflow around the zucchini. There's also, by the way, some radishes in here, and those I probably leave. Alright, I think that is looking a lot better. There should be a ton more airflow in here. I did end up pulling out some of the radishes that were going too far under, but I'm leaving a bunch of them here at the end because they still look pretty good. Okay, I need to plant a second succession of this dill. I mistimed it. The dill was supposed to be for the cucumbers, but the cucumbers are just starting and the dill is just ready to go to seed. I think I'm only going to take out half of it though. I don't really have the heart to take it all out because there are bees and ladybug larvae all over this stuff. So I'm going to leave half of the mature stuff, take half of it out, reseed it with more dill tomorrow. I have to say, this is a pretty nice smelling job. Okay, it is the next day now. I got called away from gardening stuff, and we had a surprise rain overnight, which is a little disappointing because I was planning on harvesting the garlic, but I really don't like to harvest the garlic when the soil is really wet because you get muddy clumps clinging to the bulbs. So I think I'm going to hold off at least for now on doing that. But the wet soil should make it a lot easier to harvest these carrots. Now I planted these carrots between the tomatoes before I even planted the tomatoes. But now they need to come up. I never thinned these carrots, which I should have done, and that means that in general the carrots are going to be smaller, but you're also going to find some that are an okay size and some like teeny tiny ones in between those. So I'm going to do a little sorting as I harvest them, and the really just ridiculously small ones we'll toss in the compost.
Dad, I'm going to get them out, okay?
Okay, I'm just listening.
Whoa, Dada!
Ow!
Oh! And then that's cricket blood! Oh!
So I am ripping the tops off of the carrots because that helps them to keep better. So if you think about it, the carrot is a root, and once you pick it, it's actually going to draw water and nutrients from the root to try to support this top. And we don't want that. So I think the variety of these carrots is Mokum. So that is about the size that these carrots should be if they were spaced properly. But obviously we have lots of little ones or thinner ones. All right, so there is basically our spring carrot harvest. We're going to be planting fall carrots. I'm going to space those a little better, so we'll grow them a little bit bigger. But this does a great job of opening up these tomato plants, so we're getting much better airflow in these, which is good because it's starting to turn hot and humid. Alright, so over in what was the lettuce bed, we're now in this little 4-foot section going to be planting fall carrots. Now the one thing I'm doing differently this time to make my life easier is I got pelleted seeds. So this is what they look like. And pelleted seeds are really just seeds that have a clay coating around the seed. Makes it easier to plant in like automatic seeders, but also for seeding by hand. Like carrot seeds are tiny, but with these pelleted seeds, I can pick up just one at a time, and I can space them properly, so this way I don't have the carrots growing too closely together, but I also don't have to thin them, which, history shows I'm unlikely to do. I got these from Johnny's Seeds, and they cost basically $1 more than the non-pelleted variety, so seems like a pretty good deal to me. We are going to plant the same 2 types of carrots. We've got Bolero as our orange carrot. It's a good medium-sized storage carrot, should get decently big, and we're going to plant that purple elite again. I do think that in general the orange carrots taste better for fresh eating than all the colored varieties, but when you cook them you can't really tell the difference, but it's fun to have. Alright, so let's get these planted. So I want to make sure these are all, a couple inches apart. And over on this side of the lettuce bed, I am planting bush beans. This is a great time of year to plant bush beans, and they should be ready to harvest in September. So it can be tricky to get carrots to germinate well in the summer. The reason is those seeds need to stay consistently moist all the time, and they're just barely below the surface. And that means on warm summer days you might need to water 2-3 times a day. So one trick that I have learned that helps a lot is to just cover your carrot bed with cardboard. Perfect size too. So this will do wonders in keeping the top of the soil from drying out in the sun. You do need to come out every single day and lift it up and see if anything's germinating. And the moment you see a single carrot poking up, you need to lift the whole thing off and go back to watering regularly. But hopefully by then, all your seeds are germinating and you can water only once a day or once every other day. That said, if it is super hot or if your soil isn't super moist, you might need to lift the cardboard off and water under it one time before it germinates. But in this case, the soil is nice and saturated because we just had rain last night. And so by watering a bunch, putting the cardboard on, I shouldn't need to water the carrots again until after they start to germinate and I take the cardboard off. All right, it has been a day. The soil has dried out quite a bit, so we're going to go ahead and get both garlic beds harvested. It looks like we're either at the peak time to harvest or just a little bit late. We see the yellowing on the leaves. The bottom couple of leaves have died, which is normally when it's about the right time. If you wait too long, the cloves of the garlic get too big and then they start to separate from the bulb, and then they don't store very well. But I think we're right in the good harvesting window. So I'm definitely harvesting at the peak perfect time. This is a whole bunch of huge, beautiful bulbs. I could have waited an extra day or two for the soil to dry some more. This is what happens when you harvest garlic when the soil is too wet. All of the dirt is clinging to the roots in huge clumps, which just makes the cleaning up a little bit harder. This is a very good year for the garlic. All right, so that is a phenomenal garlic harvest. This is going to go as more than enough garlic for us to eat all year, and plenty of garlic to plant this fall's garlic crop in October. So these two beds that I just pulled the garlic out of are going to hold broccoli and cauliflower for a fall crop, and I'm going to get those planted out in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is add some blood meal to both of these beds and work that in so that it can start to break down and provide nitrogen for the fall crop. But first, I've got to get this garlic inside into the seed starting layer. Oh! All right, we are here now in the seed starting layer, and I'm just taking these garlic bulbs and laying them out on this shelf to dry and cure. And this is the unfinished basement. It's cool, it's dry. I will leave these out for 3 to 4 weeks, and then I will come in, cut the stalks off, trim the roots off, get the top layer of paper off, and have nice clean garlic bulbs, which will look pretty much exactly like this. This is actually how much garlic we have left over from last year. So what I think I'm going to do with these ones is actually open them up, slice them thin, and dehydrate them so we can grind them up to make garlic powder. All right, that is 116 heads of garlic, which is probably a little bit more than we're going to need, even considering this is also the garlic that we're going to be planting this fall for next year's garlic. All right, well, with that task done, that means we are just about finished switching the veggie garden over to the fall garden. Obviously, in a few weeks, we will need to plant the broccoli, cauliflower, and the fall lettuce. All right, that is all I have for you in this video. Until next time, happy gardening.